have talked a lot about how Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch have changed Pokemon forever, specifically the main series, and I stand by that. These games have truly done something different. But by focusing so much on the games from this console, I have kind of ignored all that came before. And yeah, Pokemon was always the same formula for, well, 20 years, but they eventually changed and it wasn't on the Switch. It was on the 3DS in a gen that I believe does not get the praise that it deserves. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, and what about Gen 7? Let's get into it. First of all, I know that Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu are part of Gen 7, but there's something separate at the same time. Something that gets even more separate as they are exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. When I say and think Gen 7, I say and think Pokémon Sun, Pokémon Moon, Pokémon Ultra Sun, and Pokémon Ultra Moon. These games were released in 2016 and 2017 and saw us visiting the region of Alola in an adventure that we didn't know would impact the future of the franchise as much as it did. While Pokemon going 3D was certainly an important decision, it was also an expected one. Everything was going 3D, so it was kind of a matter of when Pokemon would make the jump, and then X and Y was pretty much a very traditional Pokemon game that didn't really reinvent the wheel. Just like you shouldn't try to reinvent the wheel and just like, subscribe and join the channel. But Gen 7 on the other hand, that was a gen that absolutely changed a lot of things and opened our eyes to the potential of this franchise. Before I continue though, what is your favorite Pokemon from Gen 7? Let me know down below. We'll start with something very simple but that helped breathe fresh life into Pokemon from older generations, and that is regional forms. It's strange to imagine a Pokemon game without them now, but there was a time when they didn't really exist. Game Freak took the opportunity that we were going to the Hawaii-inspired region of Alola and showed how the new climate and habitats in these islands affected Pokemon we already knew. In a way, it's similar to what the anime showed us during the Orange Island arc with Paras, Vileplume and Weepinbell in Valencia Island, but actually taken to a new level. It was so well received that basically every game that wasn't a remake had regional forms, including our Legends prequel Pokémon Legends Arceus, with Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet developing this concept and adding convergent forms as new ways for creature creation to be explored. Nowadays, we always discuss the possibility of new regional forms in future Pokemon games because they not only make sense, they also give us a sense of nostalgia while also giving us something new and interesting to discover. And it all started in Alola. But that's not the only thing that Gen 7 did, because there's something else they did that pretty much every other game has done since. Evil teams were always a staple of the Pokemon franchise. You could meet them early into the game and then you'd fight their boss eventually. They were easy to understand and there was nothing really to question about them. That's until Gen 7 actually decided to add a twist. For the whole game we're battling Team Skull, only to eventually find out that the actual evil team is the Aether Foundation. It sounds like not a big deal, it's a simple twist, but it's one that actually changed everything. We battle Team Yell for the whole Galar game, and then Macrocosmos are the evil ones. We battle the Misfortune Sisters and have to deal with both clans and the Galaxy team in Hisui, then it's actually Volo and Giratina. And in Paldea we're raiding Team Star bases, and then the final battle of the main game is actually a weird AI professor that wants to protect their creator's paradise. Evil teams have never been the same again since Gen 7, for better or for worse. They've always been delivered to us with a little twist. And it all started, once again, in Alola. But again, as you probably expect, that's not the only thing they did that changed everything, because they also introduced some pretty big battles. Boss Pokemon aren't technically new, every legendary Pokemon kinda fits that role after all. But here, they were kind of checkpoints that we needed to defeat in order to progress with our story. They were named Totem Pokémon and had buffs that made them stronger while also calling Pokémon to aid them, turning the battle into a bit of an unfair one most of the time. While this took a while to be put into place, it's very likely due to their presence in Gen 7 that Noble Pokémon in Pokémon Legends Arceus and Titan Pokémon in Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet ended up having this progression system attached to them as well, with us battling them in their role of boss Pokémon. They acted as checkpoints and a different kind of battle for us to test our strength against in order to see if we could progress with the story, and it started once again in Alola. But the only reason they needed to do that was because of a major change they did. Pokémon gyms are as part of Pokémon as clicking yes when you wanted to click no. They have been here since forever, and they are still here, but they're not really the same. In Gen 7 though, there were no gyms. You had the Island Challenge, which was tied to the Totem Pokémon as well. You had to undergo the Captain's Trials and then face the Grand Trial and battle the Island Kahuna. It all culminated in the Pokémon League though, which is more of a familiar territory. While Pokémon gyms would make a return in Galar, the whole Victory Road system was different already, with the Pokémon League being now the experiment in these games, and while Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet have both, well, you have freedom to battle them in whatever order you want, and the Pokémon League has no rematches and is 100% weird. It really feels like they wanted to experiment with this very traditional system and just decided to cut the gyms, out from the beginning and see where it would lead them. And I think it worked pretty well for a new kind of adventure. And it all started, of course, in Alola. But that's not the only thing they did. These are the major ones, but Alola has changed so much more in the franchise. Gen 7 was the first generation to truly add weird to the franchise with the Ultra Beasts. Now, after almost 10 years, we've seen the whole concept of Dynamax with Eternatus and Eternamax Eternatus flourishing. We saw Origin Form Dialga and Palkia embracing this unsettling approach, and then saw Paradox Pokémon going even further. And those Ultra Beasts were possible because they really embraced the multiverse with us traveling through it. Something that has been referenced in the Dynamax adventures with the Ultra Beasts appearing there, with our and Inko's journey to Hisui, and of course in Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet through the power of Terra Energy and Terrapagos. The simple fact that right Pokémon started being available everywhere instead of only specific places also separated it from Gen 6 and everything that came before, and showed us a glimpse of the future and removed HMs as well, which we all probably love. Just like every other Pokémon generation that came before, Gen 7 will also have its time in the sun and moon and be praised like it deserves, as every generation goes through that, the cycle of hate and then the cycle of love. But I really do believe that it should be happening already, because these games truly opened the door for the Switch era that will forever be remembered as probably one of the most interesting ones. And that's fine, but you should always remember that it all started in Alola. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. But before I go, I want to thank my Twitch subscribers and newbies here, and the Dr. Joe, and my YouTube members Dash Plays and Yatsy for going that extra mile. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much.